Chapter 5. Medical Transports. Article 38. Article 38. Ships chartered for that purpose shall be authorized to transport equipment exclusively intended for the treatment of wounded and sick members of armed forces or for the provisions of disease, provided that particulars regarding the voyage have been notified to the adverse power and approved by the latter. The adverse power shall preserve the right to board the carrier ships, but not capture them or seize the equipment carried. By agreement amongst the parties to the conflict, the neutral observers may be placed on board such ships to verify the equipment carried. For this purpose, free access to the equipment shall be given. 39. Medical aircraft, that is to say, aircraft exclusively employed for the removal of wounded, sick, and shipwrecked, and for the transport of medical personnel and equipment, may not be the object of attack, but shall be respected by the parties to the conflict while flying at heights, at times, and on routes specifically agreed upon between the parties to the conflict concerned. They shall be clearly marked with a distinctive emblem as prescribed in Article 41, together with their national colors on their upper and lower lateral surfaces. They shall be provided with any other markings or means of identification which may be agreed upon between the parties to the conflict upon the outbreak or during the course of hostilities. Unless agreed otherwise, flights over enemy or enemy-occupied territory are prohibited. Medical aircraft shall obey every summons to alight on land or water. In the event of having to thus alight, aircraft with its occupants may continue flight after examination, if any. If in the event of alighting involuntarily on land or water, the enemy or enemy-occupied territory, the wounded, sick, and shipwrecked, as well as the crews of aircraft, shall be prisoners of war. The medical personnel shall be treated according to Articles 36 and 37. Article 40. Subject to the provisions of the second paragraph, medical aircraft to the parties to the conflict may fly over the territory of neutral powers, land thereon in cases of necessity, or use it as a port of call. They shall give neutral powers prior notice of their passage over said territory, and obey every summons to alight on land or water. They will be immune from attack only when flying en routes at heights and at times specifically agreed upon between the parties to the conflict and the neutral power concerned. The neutral powers may, however, place conditions or restrictions on the passage or landing of medical aircraft on their territory. Such possible conditions or restrictions shall be applied equally to all parties of the conflict. Unless otherwise agreed upon by the neutral powers and the parties to the conflict, the wounded, sick, or shipwrecked who are disembarked with the consent of the local authorities on neutral territories by medical aircraft shall be detained by the neutral power, wherein so required by international law, in manner that they cannot again take part in the operations of war. The cost of their accommodation and interment shall be borne by the power on which they depend.